Thank you, Mr.
It's a great honor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, as Caroline has mentioned, President, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm the only African reporter accredited here at the White House cover for the entire continent. So, I just arrived yesterday. I went to see firsthand how the people is feeling.
US are very fast with whatever they're trying to do just to ensure that they stop all the Fulani terrorists as far as Nigeria is concerned and all of that. You know, Trump came out a few days ago and tell Nigeria government that if they refuse to take action, that he give them few days, that he will ensure that his armies enter Nigeria and they do the needful and all of that. But come as what happened a few hours ago, nobody ever expected that Trump have already sent down journalists and congressmen to Nigeria to go and make findings themselves as regards what is happening now. They have come back to give Trump a report. They have come back to give Trump the situation report of what they meant and what they saw in Nigeria. These people have finally exposed Nigeria. They finally exposed every of the atrocities that's actually going on in Nigeria, from the Fulani terrorists to the Boko Haram to all of that, and what Tinubu government is doing to shield these people allegedly and all of that. These people have exposed everything. You hear things for yourself in this very video. I would like you to stay connected to the end of this video. Come and see the way they gave you Trump the report a few hours ago, and I'd like you to stay connected to the end of the video. If you can share the video as you're watching it, just want to share it. Click the share button, share it to different social media platforms, let it go viral. And if you can share it, just like the video, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. Just stay connected. I'm coming back again.
Welcome you back to LAJUPOG Watch TV.
I don't have bad news for you today.
The home of religious gossip.
But you should leave the fight for Muhammad.
What is happening in the Christendom? Join now to make sense with LAJUPOG.
Hello my great and wonderful viewers, welcome back to LAJUPOG Watch TV. For those of you coming across this channel for the very first time, just do what to smash the red subscription button appearing on your video screen. Click the subscription button, and at the same time do what to click the notification bell icon, so that whenever we drop a new video in few hours time, YouTube will easily let you to know. You know, it was a few days ago that Trump came out and gave a straight warning to Tinubu that Tinubu refused to do something as regards the poofing that is ongoing in Nigeria, all of that, that he will ensure that he send his military down, and he will make sure that the actions will be very fast and very sweet. And that was what Trump said. That of course a lot of reactions in Nigeria for the past few days. You know, a lot of you might have seen the news. But come as what transpired a few hours ago. You know, that same day that Trump sent down warning to Tinubu, Trump came out again to say that he will be sending congressmen to Nigeria and journalists to just ensure that he get all the reports that he needs. That is not even interested in the report that Nigerian government will come and give him and all of that. Trump came out to say that now the journalists that Trump sent down to Nigeria have finally come up with the report. Now he gave Trump the report few hours ago. Come and hear what these people exposed within few days. Come and see the information they gathered and they exposed about the terrorism that is ongoing in Nigeria and what the government of Tinubu and all of that is doing about it. Come and hear what these people said. They've unveiled the bottles of Tinubu to Trump. Come and see things the way it goes. I would like us to stay connected to the end of this video. If you can share the video as you're watching it, just endeavor to share it. Share it to the social media platforms. Let it go viral, because it's about to go down. And if you can share the video, just like the video, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. You know, nobody ever expected that Trump will be very, very as fast as this, as far as this matter of Christian terrorism in Nigeria is concerned. You know, Trump said that he's not happy with the way they poofing Christians and all of that. And when Trump made the speech that he made a few days ago as regards the Islamic terrorist group that actually terrorized Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians actually came out. They said, no, what is Trump saying? That it is not Islamic terrorist group that is terrorizing Nigeria and all of that. That Trump is trying to set up a religious war in Nigeria and all of that. Who tell you? Who tell you? Those are the questions that a lot of people are asking. Now, Trump said that Islamic terrorist group are terrorizing Christians in Nigeria. Trump is actually right, because if you should look at the Fulani herdsmen in question, these people are not Christian. Once they poof people, some of them will come out to say Allahu Akbar. Is it Christians that are saying Allahu Akbar? These people are Islamic terrorist group. The Boko Haram are not Christian group. They are Islamic group. They may be practicing their Islam in the wrong way, but they are still reckoned as the Islamic group. So these people are Islamic terrorist group that are terrorizing Nigeria. The Fulani herdsmen too, they are Islamic terrorist group. Trump is right. Now, as the matter remains, some people were saying that, oh, Trump wants to come and steal the resources of Nigeria and all of that. Which resources are they stealing? Is it the resources that me and you are not benefiting anything from? If they want to steal it, you steal it. Who cares? They don't want to say they should steal it. Are you benefiting anything from the resources and all of that? The resources that Nigerian politicians are mafiaing, and as the matter remains, US is not interested in Nigerian resources. All they want to do is to stop the poofing that is ongoing in Nigeria. Why are we shading the theories of Nigeria and all of that? Why are we pretending as if the poofing and the way they are only alive in both Christian, Muslim and all of that we're happy with it? Why are we doing like as if we're happy with it? People cannot travel in the roads of Nigeria again. Now, come and hear the report that they gave to Trump few hours ago as regards what is happening in Nigeria. Tinubu is in big trouble at this very moment, because the report they gave as regards Nigeria is actually very, very disgracing as far as the Nigeria situation is concerned. Come and hear things for yourself. Hear everything the way it goes. If you can share the video, share it. If you can share, just like it. Hear things for yourself. I'm coming back again.
And yet the world is just standing by, letting these people be murdered.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's an absolute tragedy what is happening to Christians in Nigeria, and I want everybody listening to really get this and understand this statistic. Okay, they say, why Nigeria? Nigeria is responsible for 90% of all Christian persecution deaths worldwide in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
And no one hears about it. No one's talking about it. We see a lot of tragedies and issues that happen across the spectrum. We saw what happened in Israel, when Hamas came over and kidnapped and killed all these Israelis, and it got world attention, and rightly so.
Yeah.
It still gets world attention, and thank God. But the thing is the same thing is happening to Nigerians on a daily basis and gets no coverage whatsoever.
And has been happening on a daily basis since 9/11.
Yes.
We're standing for the same ideology. Walked into a village in northern Nigeria and massacred over 200 Christians, and that village was called Rankum, and it was renamed in the language of the Fulani terrorists, Muslim terrorists who were the ones who went and killed everybody. They took that village and they renamed it Mahanga because it is essentially the command and control center of this genocide.
Yes, and the interesting part is that the Nigerian government knows it. The U.S. government should know it, and if they're paying attention, I hope they know it now. But this is where the majority of terror attacks are staged and launched from. And like I said, everybody in Nigeria knows where it's coming from. They see the terrorists coming in and out of Mahanga.
And they chose Mahanga. I mean, translated, the word means watchtower.
Watchtower.
Because
yes.
It's on high ground. And it was perfectly positioned for them for what began as a series that's now more than 20 years of attacks.
20 years of attacks, and tens of thousands, no, I'd say hundreds of thousands have now been killed, staged from that ground.
And wounded and forced out.
And so that's killed. That's over 100,000 Christians have been killed. Now, let's talk about the people that are still alive. They're now in camps called IDP camps, which stands for internally displaced person. And we estimate that there's between 3 to 5 million IDPs right now. These are Christians without homes, without villages, that are living in camps.
These are people who've been robbed of everything they had, who've been forced off their land, and basically are mired in poverty and misery because very often the Nigerian government won't even acknowledge their existence.
No, they won't acknowledge their resistance, and this it's a double-edged sword. So you have IDP camps. When the Nigerian government doesn't recognize an IDP camp within their own country, that means there's no UN, that means there's no Red Cross, that means there's no other NGO, official government organization, USAID, or what used to be USAID, means those people get zero help if the Nigerian government doesn't establish and say, this is an official camp. And we know that Nigeria government only recognizes 40% of the camps that exist. So that means 60% of these millions of IDPs get zero help from the outside world.
It also, it raises the curious question of why does the Nigerian government not acknowledge the existence of these people?
there's a few different reasons. One of the main reasons is the Nigerian government likes to lie to itself, and they also like to pretend that things are better than they actually are. And by doing so, if the Nigerian government says it doesn't exist, well, then the rest of the world says it doesn't exist. And that means Nigeria looks better on paper for whatever reason. And it's like a dog and pony show that the Nigerian government likes to play.
Well, if you admit to the world that Christians are being systematically and intentionally massacred on your watch and cleansed from the land as they are being, then you have to do something about it. The world expects you to do something about it.
Well, then you're supposed to do something about it. So there's the other part of this is that, yes, the Nigerian government is complicit, especially in the last 8 years with 2 Muslim presidents in a row, where they have turned a blind eye to the killings and have done nothing to stop it.
Well, when they actually know that killings are going to happen and they don't intervene.
Yes, and that's one of the things. So as part of our organization, we created Truth Nigeria, a outlet for journalists in Nigeria to tell the truth, because the Nigerian government doesn't want this information getting out. And if the Nigerian government doesn't say the story's getting out, they're not reporting it. And so we want to give an outlet to Truth Nigeria. So part of that project is we've been able to get intelligence and issue terror alerts. And so in 2024, we issued over 64 terror alerts.
And you issue a terror alert when what is happening?
So when we issue a terror alert, the police are notified, military is notified, local government officials are notified, the villages are notified, and
they're notified of what?
That there's an impending attack coming to your area.
And how do you know that?
Intelligence.
From having your ear to the ground.
From having our ear to the ground. We have our organizations operating in villages all over Nigeria, and people talk, people know things, and we've told people, if you hear something, you hear something, see something, let us know.
Okay, so just so people understand, you have your organization Equipping the Persecuted.
Yes.
And that does what exactly?
So Equipping the Persecuted was formed to be a boots-on-the-ground mission to respond to the attacks of persecuted Christians. So to the best of our ability and the resources we have, we try to respond to an attack within 48 hours with food, medicine, aid, anything we can do to help these people that have lost everything they had. And a lot of it, because when the villages are burned and razed to the ground, all the food supply is destroyed. They have no sleeping mats. They're just left with the clothes on their backs. And so the first thing they need is food. They need medicine. And then what became a big part of our mission is we now really help the wounded victims that are still surviving. So we pay for the medical costs of the surgeries. We send doctors in to treat the wounded.
Wow.
To help the kids that have machete wounds, bullet wounds. We try to patch them up and save as many lives as possible.
The massacres, and not just the killings, but the infrastructure and mechanism of the genocide.
Yeah.
Which involves, like you said, killing the food supply, right? So launching an attack right before the crops are about to be harvested.
Exactly.
And destroying everything.
Right. So that's one of the tactics that they use for terror is they'll wait till the farmers plant the crops, grow the crops, and right before harvest, they'll come in, kill the village, they'll destroy all the crops. I mean, it's a form of terror that is demoralizing because
you've got nothing left.
Because they have nothing left. And they worked hard all year long to raise these crops, and now they're completely destroyed.
Well, that's the thing that people don't realize, right? In America, you can just go to the store, you get whatever you want all year round. Over there, these people, where they live, there is nothing. There is no industry or anything. The crops are how they survive. They sell that crop once a year, and they live off that money for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year. So, if you don't mind me going into this for a second, let's talk about what real poverty looks like. Okay, a lot of Americans and Westerners have a very, very perverted view of what poverty is. And Nigeria poverty means if you have a good job in Nigeria, you make $100 a month. That's a good job in Nigeria, $100 a month. That means you're successful. $100 a month. Now, imagine all that being taken away from you. You don't have television, you don't have power, they don't have running water. But making $100 a month means you're providing really good for your family, and all that's gone. Now you have nothing left. That is the terror that these Muslim terrorists are inflicting on Nigerian Christians.
And also the terror of being asleep in your bed at night and hearing the motorbikes, because these terrorists, they like to come in on motorbikes, and then they just massacre everything that moves.
Anything that moves, and the people that get killed most of the time are the ones that can't run fast enough, and that's the children and the elderly.
The pregnant moms.
The pregnant moms, the children, and the elderly. And that's one of the most heartbreaking things that I see is what kind of animal would hack up a little child to death with a machete. Why would you do that? Why would you shoot a mother who's pregnant? Why would you burn an elderly person alive? This is the kind of stuff we are dealing with every week in Nigeria, and it's silent.
Well, I know when I was reporting on this a few years ago, there was over, around 100,000 people already killed in this genocide, Christians.
Yes.
And then, and now it's much more than that. And all the journalists I talked to in Truth Nigeria, they all say the numbers are going up. It's escalating.
Yeah, it's escalating. It's escalating more and more, and it's being downplayed more and more even by the Nigerian government. There's so many. If it weren't for Truth Nigeria, you wouldn't hear about 90% of the attacks.
100%.
If there weren't for Truth Nigeria, you wouldn't hear about it. And let me tell you, one of the reasons I started Truth Nigeria is just because of my background in being a filmmaker, being a person who has a quest for truth. I ran into our journalists like Masara Kim, like Lawrence Sango, and Mike O'Day, and I saw guys who don't care. They're willing to risk it all. They're willing to risk their lives to bring people the truth. That's the kind of people we have at Truth Nigeria. They're willing to lay it all on the line. I'm like, if they're willing to lay it all on the line, I'm willing to support you. I'm willing to support these efforts to get the truth out. And why? Because at the end of the day, they're willing to risk their lives to save their country and to save their fellow Christians.
You know, the first time I interviewed Masara Kim, one of the things he said to me that I never forgot was, I said, Masara, you're right there living in these villages, right in this area where they're killing Christians, and you're exposing it.
Yeah.
I said, aren't you worried you're going to be killed? And he said, oh, Mom, he said, I am very lucky. Most of my friends are dead. You are documenting history. Very, very true, because really the world would have no idea. And that's in part because the media in Nigeria is pretty much like the media here in the U.S. They sit in the capital cities like in Abuja, and they parrot the government narrative, and they don't go out and witness the killings. They're not in the villages. They have no idea what's going on, but they write with absolute confidence that it's fake news and conspiracy.
Let me walk you through how Nigeria news operates.
Okay.
It's one of the most silly things I've ever seen, and it's laughable, but it's also super depressing at the same time. So, in order to get a story out of Nigeria and get it in Nigerian news, a government official has to call a press conference. And when the government official calls a press conference, that means the journalist can then show up, because all the journalists are getting money from the government to cover the stories. So if said government official doesn't hold a press conference, the story never happened, the incident it doesn't exist.
It's incredible. And I have to say this because this will really, I think, help people understand what we're dealing with here. For years, the narrative of the Nigerian government has been parroted by the U.S. government. Yes. And they have literally blamed the killings on climate change.
Oh, my word.
I know it
Yeah.
sounds incredible, climate change. And the reason they say that is because the people carrying out these attacks, the Fulani, who are mostly members of the Fulani tribe, which is a nomadic Islamic tribe, they say they're being forced to migrate because of climate change. And as they're moving south, because the north of Nigeria obviously is Muslim and the south is Christian predominantly. And so as they're moving south from the north of the country, they're going into these Christian areas, and that's where these clashes are happening.
Yeah, so let me explain this real fast for the average viewer.
I just have to, you just have to take a moment and think about the absolute devastation and the goal of the United States Embassy, successive ambassadors, to literally pass this off as climate change. I don't think that there's a hell miserable enough for people like that.
Oh, they're going to be suffering eternal judgment for what they've done here on earth and their complicity and willful ignorance. Let me explain how this works as far as the farmer-herder clash and then climate change, whatever you want to call it. I can assure you that when the Fulani ethnic militia, the Muslim terrorists, go into Christian villages, they're not coming in with cattle. They're coming in on motorcycles with AK-47s and killing everything that moves, and then destroying and razing the entire village.
And yelling Allahu Akbar while they do it.
Allahu Akbar while doing it. And has nothing to do with climate change. These are nomadic herders that have 500-year-old view of cattle farming, which just takes cattle and roams them wherever they want to roam them, regardless of whose property or land they're on. They have no idea what a ranch is. They have no idea what modern farming is or what modern cattle raising is. But the fact is they don't care. It's not about
nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that. It has to do with they are systematically taking over Nigeria, and they want to make Nigeria into a Muslim caliphate. Okay?
Well, and it was. Well, if you go back historically, people don't realize that the capital of the Muslim north of Nigeria, Sokoto, was actually the capital of the first caliphate outside, right? When Usman bin Fodio, the first caliph, established the caliphate. So that was one of the earliest jihads.
Right, it was one of the earliest jihads, but then the rest of the tribes people in Nigeria and the other tribes that said, hey, we don't want this, defeated them and shoved them back up north.
Yeah.
And then Nigeria was majority Christian.
Yes,
for a long time.
There were African religions, but the British obviously came and brought Christianity.
But when they brought Christianity, Nigeria was 70% Christian.
Amazing.
Now it's 50-50. It's 50% Muslim, 50% Christian.
Because they've been killing.
Because they have been going back to their systematic jihad. Now, look. Islam has conquered every civilization it's touched since 640 AD through three methods of jihad. One, cultural jihad. We'll move in, we'll blend in with the population as we're a minority. Then they start gaining a population, having lots of kids. Then once they get a population, they do political jihad. All right?
And cultural.
Then cultural jihad. Then after political jihad, once they have the political cover to do the violence, they go into violent jihad and take over territory. And that is how they have systematically taken over all of northern Africa.
Well, and what's particularly interesting when you dig a little deeper is that the Fulani tribe doesn't just exist in Nigeria. They're in Sierra Leone and Senegal and right across the border, right? I mean, throughout the center and east of Africa and west.
And for some magical reason, every country they touch turns into war.
Yes, and when you
turns into genocide and turns into war. Every country that they touch ends up turning into genocide and war.
So in many ways, it's a power grab for the Fulani under the black flag of Al Qaeda and Islamic Jihad and the authority of God, right?
Under the authority of God.
And the U.S. helps them.
The U.S. helps them, and
by blaming it on climate change.
By blaming it on climate change or turning a blind eye to doing it, and
putting a Band-Aid on a little bit of the humanitarian need.
Thank you for staying connected, my great and wonderful viewers. You can hear everything that was said in this very video. That journalist actually took his time to actually explain everything that happens in Nigeria, and everything that he said is nothing but the truth. He said when these Fulani herdsmen were trying to proof a lot of people in Nigeria, even a lot of Tinubu government and cabinet, even Tinubu himself came out to say that it is herders farmers clash. Who tell you that it is herders farmers clash in the first place? These people, they go to different villages to take the life of a lot of people. Did they go with cows? Those people that they went to proof in Benue and they enter their house to massacre at the midnight and all of that, did they go with cow? These people are boldly terrorists. These are not herders farmers clash, and this is not climate change and all of that that US used to call it and all. There is nothing of such. They are using all this narrative to shield these terrorists. These people are doing everything possible to wipe out Nigerians. Now that journalist took his time and he made all the full analysis of everything that's actually going on in Nigeria. I even said as far as some Nigerian journalists collect money to just ensure that they don't put out some stories. He made it known that some Nigerian journalists do everything possible to rob the bottoms of Nigerian politicians by collecting money from them and keeping off a lot of stories from the media. Now this guy explained everything. Now a lot of people are saying that, oh, why is Trump saying that Nigerians are actually facing issue with the Islamic State and all of that, that Islam people are trying to Islamize Nigeria, or Islamic terrorists are in quote, Islamic terrorists are trying to Islamize Nigeria. They said what Trump said is not true. But let me date you back to something if you've forgotten. Do you remember Deborah Yakubu, the Sokoto State University student that was actually murdered by a lot of Islamic guys? Back then, I think that was 2021. If you look at my intro, the intro of this my channel, you notice that it was that Deborah. You can share back my intro again. You notice that it was that Deborah Yakubu that Islamic guys in our school murdered back then. That was what I used to do my intro till now. For those of you that have been following me very well, you will notice it. They were holding matches and they were even showing it to the world that yes, they took her life and there's nothing anybody will do about it. How many of them were prosecuted? That girl was a Christian. That Deborah Yakubu was a Christian. How many of these guys was prosecuted? In fact, they were even shielding some of them. They did not allow justice to be served. They just took the life of that Christian girl just like that. Now you can see everything that is ongoing. But basically what is happening in Nigeria is not the Islamic war against Christians and all of that. But the fact remains, the people that are actually terrorizing Nigeria, they are so-called Islamic terrorists, in quotes. Because most of the terrorists, the moment they perform their enterprise, the moment they do their evil, many of them will come out to say Allahu Akbar, and some of them will dress in Muslim attires and all of that. Have you ever seen any of them saying Jesus is Lord after proofing the life of people? Have you ever seen some of them reciting the Lord's Prayer after proofing people? All they do is the Islamic thing and all of that. So Trump was actually right. Now you can see the guy saying it in that very video. He said the population of Nigerians Christian before were 70%. Muslims were like 30% or thereabout. But now it's 50-50. They've took the life of a lot of Christians, and on the long run, he said part of the strategy of the Islamic group is to ensure that they begin to give birth anyhow. They can give birth to 20 in a family, just to outweigh the population of Christians in that very region once they settle down there. Is it not true? If you go to the northern part of Nigeria, do you know how many children? You will see a family of 80. You will see a family of 80 in the northern part of Nigeria. Are they not Muslims? Are they not Islams? Have you seen that happening in the Christian zone where Christians are actually settling? So all the things that the journalist actually mentioned of in this very video were actually true. There is no fallacy there. Now they've given Trump the report, and guess what? Trump have said it before. He said he's waiting for the report that will be coming from Nigeria, from his congressmen and from his journalists. Now you have got a report from the journalist. Now that shows that this man is going to make up an action that is going to be fast and sweet as far as Nigeria Islamic terrorists are concerned. Muslims are not fighting with Christians. Christians are not fighting with Muslims in Nigeria. But the issue there is Islamic terrorists are taking the life of both Christians, Muslims, and everybody in Nigeria. There is no peace anywhere. Now drop a opinion in the comment section on this video. Feel free to say your mind, as I'm gonna dedicate and that ready for you. Ensure you drop a opinion as regard all that was said in this very video. Guess what, guys? See you in my next video. and bye for now.
I see the hot for my body, I say make I yarn you. Religious gossip plenty day for body. Pastor with the line on top, he pastor. For LAJUPOG watch TV. Pastor with the back, where? Politician with the do pass himself. Corrupt leader, all the while you wait for church. All as LAJUPOG watch TV.